Hey guys, Adam Rose, Vice President, Senior Loan Officer for Western Ohio Mortgage here in Sydney, Ohio. Today is another episode of the Mortgage Guy podcast just before the holiday, and we hope you guys are all geared up and ready to go. I know I'm pretty close to being done, so hopefully I'm ready by the weekend. But today, we're just going to talk about the prospects of what kind of buyer you are in this market, right? Are you an emotional buyer? Or are you a logical buyer? Well, there's some downfalls of both. So according to research, a significant majority of home buyers make decisions primarily based on emotion. Studies suggest that up to 90% of buying decisions are influenced by emotions rather than pure logic. Meaning most people buy homes more emotionally than logically when considering statistics. All right. So strong emotional connection. So here's the key points about emotional buying, okay? You might walk into a home, see it, and you feel this strong attachment to the home, right? Anybody that's owned a home or watching this that does own a home, think back when you were shopping, right? Was it the online photo that got you? Or was it as soon as you walked in, you got this overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, this is it, right? You haven't even looked around. Hasn't checked it out. You just got this odd feeling that came over you that said, this is it. This is the one I want. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to get it. So things like, nostalgia hits you, future dreams, what you can see, a sense of a belonging for a specific neighborhood or area. That stuff happens. Subconscious influence. So a lot of purchases do happen on a subconscious level just because the emotions are so strong that it can be a matter of, I've wanted to do this for so long. This is my opportunity. And the price is within my realm of affordability. Let's just do this, right? Let's pull the trigger. Let's be homeowners. And that feeling of excitement, that comfort with that specific house in that area has swayed a lot of home buyers to make decisions that maybe wasn't best for them, okay? And I'm going to kind of get into that just slightly because this is more of like a Q&A of, comment on what kind of buyer you feel you are, because you might be able to share your own experience on, you know what, I got pre-approved and never thought it would happen. And you kind of get it in the head, right? Example, let's say you're in the market to buy a car and you've been wanting to do it for a long time. You're like, it's finally time to pull the trigger. That's all you're thinking about. You're constantly looking, right? And, today's technology doesn't help us any. As soon as you start typing in a search, it's everywhere. Facebook ads, every time you're on Google, anywhere, right? Things are popping up constantly reminding you, hey, don't forget, you want to buy that car. It's the same thing with a house. Right, you're going on to Zillow or you're using your real estate agent that sets you up on a search, and it's just constant reminder of buying a home. Right, things are constantly popping up, lender advertisements, you name it, it's constantly coming. Right, so if you guys are watching this, I'd love to see comments on what one of your experiences were. Most likely, I'm going to assume it's going to be people that are going to comment that you were an emotional buyer, but maybe you didn't have a great experience going that route, right? Like, hey, we were just so happy that we got pre-approved and we wanted to buy a home for so long that we found the first home that we could find, and it worked, size worked. We were looking at it was in the right town and we bought it, but you didn't look at certain things in the home, right? Functionality, size, a lot of things. School districts are a big thing, right? That you didn't consider, and then after you moved in, right, you kind of got this buyer's remorse. So let's talk about buyer's remorse. So emotional home buyers are significantly more likely to have buyer's remorse, actually 65% more likely. And these purchasers, when you buy more emotionally, stay in their first home. That's key. First home, not your second, right? Your first home for 4 to 5 years, with some selling in the first 12 months. Okay, so 4 to 5 years. So their longevity in the home is not quite as long. Because they made an emotional decision more than a logical decision, okay? So a logical home buyer, they're considering other factors. Yes, do they want to like the appeal of the home? Sure, absolutely. That's going to play a role, because I don't think the statistics it's not going to show all this, but it's not going to be a 100% logical decision. There's got to be some emotion involved in regards to the style of the home, the size of the home, the area. That's going to play some role. But price analysis is number one. Focusing on the price per square foot, things you don't think about, market value, potential return on investment. So they're thinking about the appreciation, right? over the last 5 years, we've had significant appreciation, but typically speaking, in a normal market, it might be 2 to 4%, right? Not 50, not 100. So we've kind of found ourselves in this odd state of just we buy a house for $100,000. We're thinking we're going to sell it next year for $200,000. Like everybody's thinking this way, but they're not really looking at the numbers and the analysis. So I want you to consider that. Is that you as a buyer? Are you more logical? Location considerations. Prioritizing factors like proximity to work, school, and amenities. Okay. Again, the emotional buyer's going to go into the home and say, "I love this home so much. I know it's a little bit farther from work than what we like. It's an hour. Poof, boy, that's going to get old fast, right?" So the logical buyers really taking that into consideration more than anything is the price analysis and future impact. Are they going to make money when they sell it? What kind of appreciation they're going to have, and the location is huge. And they had just had that data-driven approach, relying heavily on the research and market trends to make their decision more informed. So the longevity for the logical home buyer, and we're specifically focused on the first-timers, okay, is they stay in the home on average between 7 to 9 years, so a little bit more longevity. So they're building a little bit more equity by staying longer. They also consider making extra payments. So when they're doing their financial analysis and they're not maxing out their debt ratio as often as emotional home buyers, okay? So if you're a lender watching this, you know what I'm talking about. You pre-approved someone for $200,000 and they're constantly sending you homes that they want to buy at $225,000 and they ask, "How can we make this work? Can we make this work?" That happens all the time. And that's the emotional aspect of it, not the logical aspect of it, right? So they stay in the home a little bit longer. They're considering buying at a little bit lower price point on the affordability piece, so their debt ratio is usually a little bit more conservative, or they're putting more money down, okay? And by staying there a little bit longer, they're trying to structure biweekly payments, making extra payments to principal, so when they do set themselves up to sell, they have more equity. Not only have they paid down their balance significantly faster than the emotional home buyer that might have maxed out their ratios a little bit more, but they're making those extra payments to build their equity physically by making those extra payments, but they're also considering the appreciation that occurs, right? The 2 to 4% is what you should assume, okay? That's assuming nothing crazy happens over the next couple of years in the real estate market. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and I'd love for people to comment. Let me know what your experience was like when you were a first-time buyer. Was it more of an emotional roller coaster for you? Was it more logical for you? Were you looking for that longer-term investment that you were going to sell in the future and move up in the ranks in regards to cost or size or location or what have you? What was your approach to this whole thing? I do feel that the younger home buyers are getting a little bit more logical the more conversations I'm having with them, mainly because of the price points today and where the rates are, right? Having that being a major factor now is everything's a little bit more expensive. Everything costs a little bit more money. The logical piece is coming into play. It's not to say that they're conservative on their debt ratios, because if you look around, income has not outpaced the cost of housing, hasn't kept up, right? So debt ratios are naturally a little bit higher. But I'm seeing a little bit more of these conversations on price points and payments and reverse engineering, saying, "Hey, I want my payment to be X." So we're qualifying people based off of loan amounts to support that house payment because they know what their budget is. So I encourage you to look at that when making the home buying decision when you're out there shopping, so you don't call me after you close on a house and within 6 to 12 months you're ready to sell again, because there's just something not right about it. There's something off. Functionality, location, what have you. So just something I want you guys to think about. Please do comment. I'd love to hear from you. See what your experience was all about, whether it was more emotional, whether it was logical, why it was the way it was. Was there a downfall to it? Did you make a mistake, or did it work out great? So please leave your comments, guys, on TikTok, on the YouTube channel. But remember, subscribe to YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll see you all next week, and have a happy holiday.